to Suits and Sneakers, a series featuring sage advice and candid conversations with seasoned leaders from diverse backgrounds and styles. I'm your host, Carrie Tuttle. With my guests, we deep dive into the areas of team engagement, motivation, and effective performance management. Get ready to be inspired and transform your approach to leadership. Please like, subscribe, or follow to be notified when episodes are released. Let's get started. I have the pleasure of speaking with Sandra Kokotovic, a seasoned fractional CMO with deep experience in scaling biohacking and wellness brands. Since co-founding Snap Advantage in 2016, she has pioneered marketing systems that go beyond traditional advertising, focusing on sustainable growth through strategic digital marketing, influencer partnerships, high converting email marketing, and robust funnel systems. Sandra's leadership has propelled Snap Advantage to become a preferred agency for upgrade labs, which are biohacking human upgrade centers. Her approach is analytical yet creative, ensuring that each campaign is data-driven and tailored to the unique dynamics of the target audience. As a trusted authority in digital marketing for wellness, Sandra's strategies don't just aim to meet KPIs, they redefine them, setting new benchmarks for success in biohacking and wellness sectors. Sandra, welcome to Suits and Sneakers.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here today. I'm not going to lie. I feel almost like you should be the guest today because I know you just came back from a trip. I have so many questions for you, but so many questions, so little time. But thank you for having me on today.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So, we'll chat about that later, but I want to get you to give us a bit of background and tell me, how did you make the leap from employee to business owner? And in that, you've become a leader as well.
Yeah, I wanted to travel. So in 2016, I had a really good job. I really liked it. I was working in sales and it was a startup. So I got to, I got to do a lot of cool stuff. But my then boyfriend, now husband, mind you, this was a guy that I had met maybe 2 to 3 months before, took me on a mastermind to Bali. And he was like, yeah, there's just this mastermind with e-com guys and just online marketers. And they said, we can bring our, spouses, girlfriends, whatever. Why don't you come with me? You can relax by the pool, whatever. So I went to Bali and at that time, Serge had an e-com store. And this was the first time when I saw a person, not a store, a brick and mortar that has like a huge operation, but a guy with the phone who said, hey, can you do some admin for me? I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. And I'm seeing that he's making more money selling meditation bracelets than we were spending at this, place in Bali. So then I told them, like, I'm going to do this with you. I was like, okay, all these people here that don't have a background in marketing are doing similar things. Now, mind you, this was the kind of like the boom of e-com, where Facebook ads were just getting started properly, where you put in $1 and got back 12. That's not even a dream today. So I told him, you know what, when we get back, I'm going to quit my job and work with you. And the day I got back, I quit my job and I started working with him. So yeah, I didn't grow up, like I didn't, when people were asking me, what are you going to be when you want to grow up? Didn't really grow up saying I'm going to be a marketer. I just realized that I can travel and work from home and build some pretty cool freaking things while at it. And I did it.
Amazing. You're living like the international dream.
Yeah, I've heard that one before. Although right now I'm back in Canada.
Yeah. Where are you right now? Are you in
Waterloo, yeah.
Okay.
So a couple provinces away from you, but this is where we both grew up. Actually, Serge and I grew up 10 minutes away from each other on like the same street, and we didn't know that. This is where family is, but we did spend 3 years in Europe recently. So we came back in 2024. We're gonna be here for a couple of years, and then we'll see what the next adventure looks like.
Yeah, definitely. So if someone was going to go to Waterloo, what should they see while they're there?
Me. What? You don't travel to see cool people? Guatemala
Yes.
is pretty nice. We have a lot of trails. So, if you want to take a photo with the Shopify offices or Google offices, I guess that's pretty cool. If you're not from a city like Toronto or Vancouver where, they have offices. So we have a pretty big tech hub. Other than that, I would say the trails. The nature is beautiful. A lot of wildlife on the trails, and yeah, lots of really cutesy thing to do. Lots of things for families, lots of things for couples. Depends what your vibe is, but you can come and check it out.
And you said a family is there. Have you lived there your whole life?
I've lived here for 20 years. I was born in Romania and I moved to Canada with my parents in 2005.
Okay. I'm always curious when someone moves to Canada, why they choose the city they chose. So why Waterloo?
Very good question. So, I would say for most Romanian people, it's almost random. We have an uncle in Scarborough, so we actually moved to Scarborough when we came to Canada, and my parents really wanted a house. So that was their dream to own a house, and the realtor basically laughed in their faces when they told them the budget for the GTA, which is the Toronto area. So my parents actually had some friends that we knew from Romania that lived in Kitchener-Waterloo, and they were like, yeah, the market is way better here. Different story today, but the market was way better here. There's a big Romanian community, there's Romanian churches, Romanian, school programs where I even volunteered at during high school. And it was simply because my parents wanted to buy a house and the market was good at Kitchener and we had a Romanian community.
That's amazing. So now back to work. What was the transition that you made into becoming a fractional CMO?
When I went to university, I majored in French and human resources, and I thought I was going to work for the government. Not for me. Just not for me. And I really wanted a more creative outlet. I'm a rule breaker. Obviously I have respect for authority and I have respect for rules, but a lot of times I found myself being very confined. So I hopped into sales, which I like talking to people. I like making sales, of course. And when we started working together, Serge and I first helped him with the e-com businesses. So we were marketers first, and then we became agency owners. The jump into fractional CMO wasn't right away. So we started with sort of saying, hey, I know e-com, sales. Why don't we have a mini agency where you do the sales and I do the fulfillment? Maybe we can hire someone else along the way. So that was our first kind of like piece of journey.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, we had more e-com stores. We had to pause the agency for a little bit. We had to recalibrate the kind of services we're offering. You mentioned at the beginning when you were introducing me that we do this and this and this and this. And that's because as much as I've tried for the last 9 years to do one service only, every client that I've worked with, they wanted everything. So they were like, oh, we want social, but influencers too, but email marketing too. So I put together a lean and mean team. I did have a bigger team before, and I'm not a big team person, but we have a very nice, lean team right now. However, I can scale that to infinity to also keep the quality of what I want to do. So I decided that a fractional CMO would be a next step to also offer my expertise and value, but not have to manage my own team. So I work with companies right now that maybe they have their own teams. They have their internal teams or they have their own agencies they're working with, and they just need a little bit of help or a lot of help in scaling by having someone to lead a strategy, make sure everything is executed, work with a team. So that enables me to do it without having, to say no to so many people because my team can fulfill it. So that was a natural progression of things. I don't think that in the foreseeable future, I'm only going to be working with external teams because I'm still meeting a lot of business owners that are saying, we need a leadership, but I don't want to hire my own team. So can I use your team? So I'm constantly balancing the both where you can hire me just for the leadership and strategy, or you can hire me with my team.
Mm-hmm.
Options. Door number one, door number two, they're going to be, I hope, good options for whoever chooses them.
When you start working with a business owner, do you find that they have trouble letting go? and giving you the reins, though? More on that in a moment. If you're listening to this episode wishing you can get more out of your team alongside other purpose-driven leaders who want to be more effective, I encourage you to take a look at my program, Leading with Engagement. In it, I provide training and a practice field to gain confidence in communicating expectations that help team members stretch themselves and wow your customers. You'll gain a framework for giving meaningful feedback that motivates and inspires them to engage. Among other skills, you'll learn to delegate and track performance to free up your time to lead more strategically. Go to teammojo.ca for more information. Now, back to the episode. When you start working with a business owner, do you find that they have trouble letting go and giving you the reins, though?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you help them back up and think big picture?
I make the money. So everybody is skeptical until more money start rolling in. I have been working with companies for 9 years. To some people, I'm still the enemy. And I'll tell you stories in a bit. But when I start working with a business owner, it really depends what stage they're at. The more seasoned, I guess successful, like I'm talking about the 8 or 9 figure people, they have no problem letting go because their attention span is a lot more important spent on high leverage items that are, moving the needles, they're making the money, investor relations, and so on. And they don't want to be bothered with what is Sandra saying in an email campaign or Sandra's team. Founders that are really passionate about their product, as they should be, or their service, have a little bit of a harder time letting go because it is their baby. And in their mind, why wouldn't the world want to buy from them, right? Letting go is one thing where I'm going to have a different approach than you, maybe. I'm going to have a different voice than you. I'm going to bring you different problems and solutions. If I operated like you, it would be a bit of a problem because you can't just have someone that is your twin and scale because you would have done it already, right? So you need someone different. So letting go is a little bit different because it hurts the ego as well, but it's just what you're used to, right? Now, overcoming that is honestly making them more money. The busier I get a business owner, the less time they have to worry about things that don't move the needle. Serge and I have a saying, like, don't trip over dollars to pick up pennies. And I find that a lot of the times, especially the newer business owners, they tend to trip over dollars to pick up pennies and they will nitpick, whether it's an email campaign, whether it's a social media post. They'll come up with conversations like, oh, like your team doesn't understand this. I'm like, no, no, no. My team understands it, but my team also is a marketing team and they have to adjust it to trends and SEO and so on. But the easiest way is just to provide results. So my focus is to provide results. I definitely butt heads. And then I have to pick my battles and see where it's worth it to keep going or to let go. Sometimes I'll say, you know what, fine, we'll do it your way because at the end of the day, it honestly doesn't matter. And I'd rather just like shift my attention to other projects. I said I'm the enemy sometimes because I find myself, I'm the outsider that comes into a team. So for the bigger teams that have other management that, maybe they're not marketing managers, but they've been a little bit involved in marketing, whether it's social media or email marketing. There's this person all of a sudden that comes that's external. She's not even in the same city as us. And she's going to start bossing me around. And I have to, again, have this conversation of we're working together here and we are welcoming everything that's coming from your team, but we are hired to, well, not be friends, but to make money and scale. So, it's sometimes it can be a little bit harsh because I'm bringing a more pragmatic approach, but I'm solely compensated by offering value, right? Like I'm not compensated because I'm nice and you want to come to Waterloo and visit me. I'm compensated because I'm providing value and results. So, got to stay focused on that.
What is your favorite method or metric for keeping everybody on track and making those results visible for both the clients and team members?
Very good question. It's a complex question, might I add, because everybody's metrics are different. We are focused, when I say we, my team and I, we're focused on the metrics that we can control. So, we're working in biohacking a lot. So if I have, let's say, a wellness space, like a spa, I cannot control your sales. What I can control, however, is how many appointments you get in, how many people sign up for your services, and then it's your responsibility to convert them to more packages, more sessions, more memberships, and so on. For e-com brands, we are responsible for revenue. So that one is a little bit more straightforward, where I find that my clients and businesses I work with, they're really focused on revenue. So as long as the Shopify is in the green and we're achieving our targets, I can pretty much get away with a lot. Now, when it comes to my team, to keep them happy, because everybody on the team is responsible for a different part of this, it's really just breaking down how everything works together, right? So like, what is a Shopify sale? Where it can be a first-time customer or a second-time or a repeat customer. In order to get a first-time customer, what we need to do is we need to have our lead gen funnel, right? So we're running ads on Facebook, we're grabbing emails, we're sending emails, and then we're converting them either through emails, texts, or maybe even social media. The important, to keep everyone excited and on track, we're breaking that down and we're explaining at every stage of the funnel what moves the needle, right? So the person that is creating the email marketing, I don't want to put the entire company's revenue on their shoulder, because they're not responsible for the entire company's revenue on their shoulder. However, what they are responsible for is good open rates, good click rates, and good conversion of subscribers to a first-time customer, and revenue generated from emails and flows. Now, the person that's doing the ads, what we want to do is want to make sure that they're optimizing the ads and they're getting the most leads, for instance, or sales if we're doing ad sales. Design is harder because design is one piece out of the whole creative. So I honestly tell my lead designer pretty much every week that I'm rolling out the red carpet for him, because he is fantastic. So it's a little bit harder to gauge, I guess. I mean, design can definitely lead to results, but the results would be like, this is viral, or the results like this ad is working. But with design, we're looking at, your hooks, your creative, and design is an interesting one actually, because a lot of the times design is butting heads with the owners, because designers, they're very focused on excellence. And then sometimes owners are focused on doing whatever they want. I mean, it's fine. I do that too. But yeah, it's just honestly looking at on a client side, a business I'm working with, is looking at the bottom line. What do we want to achieve? Sales. And then on our team side, it would be each piece. How does that fit into the whole ecosystem, and breaking it down?
Yeah, I think I love how you broke down the different roles, because often people think about metrics and they think about the team, which is great and that's helpful. But for each individual contributor, it's helpful for them to understand how they contribute to the team and what they specifically can control and can do to contribute to team success. So I love that you did that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? If a designer is creating this like really good viral piece of content, but no one's running the ads, it's not their fault that like your ad didn't suck. Your ad just wasn't rolled out. So we shouldn't look at it and say, okay, this was a flop, because it wasn't from a design's perspective. The ads guy perspective, we got to talk to the ads guy. Why didn't you roll out the ad?
Yeah, there you go. When did you first take on a team member?
Long time ago, 2017.
Okay, so about a year into your business?
Not even a year. It wasn't even a year. Like, we started our business in September 2016, so it was just a few months after that. Yeah, Upwork.
I think for a lot of business owners and even leaders that are forming a team, it's when is that right time to take on the first employee number one?
Okay. I'll tell you when the wrong time is to take on the employee number one. The wrong time to take on employee number one is when you just decided to start a business and become a boss. That is the wrong time, because you have so much to learn before you even manage a team. Now, there are different types of businesses, right? So I work with businesses that are receiving $1 to $4 million in pre-revenue investing. and they can afford to bring on a team of. So those businesses, if you get the investing money, but usually those people are the people that have had a business before. They know how to manage teams. Now, the small to medium-sized businesses, I would say, as a founder, unless you are developing the product yourself, if you're developing the product yourself and you have no one to sell the product, then you need to bring in, I would say, rather a co-founder, not a team member. Because if you're a product developer, then you don't have the knowledge to make marketing decisions, sales decisions, pricing decisions, and investor decisions. So at that point, I would bring in a co-founder. However, if you are okay with the product and then you as a founder, what's left for you is to start selling, you need to start selling. And the first time you bring on a team member is when you no longer have time in your schedule to do both the fulfillment and the sales. So imagine a Shopify store, right? Like we're creating, skincare products. We have the production under control. We're maybe packaging products ourselves with a small mom and pop, husband and wife, sister, doesn't matter. We're doing it from our kitchen. That's perfect. Those people will usually have to do a little bit of marketing, a little bit of sales, learn Shopify, because hiring the wrong person is going to cost a lot more in the long run. So if you're hiring someone that is super, super new, they're not going to be able to make decisions for you. So then you're going to have to start learning how to do strategy and also how to manage a team. And then someone's going to take some work off of you. But I would rather see founders try to do the sales themselves first, prove the concept. When you're a new business, you got to prove the concept. Sales over everything. You got to be obsessed with it. And then when you say, okay, I got a concept, I get some traction, I have a repeatable thing going on, I can start optimizing. Now is the time to bring on that first person. Unless, like I said, you are super product heavy, that's when you should bring on a co-founder. And then I don't know if that's like 6 months in, a year in, it really depends on everybody.
Yeah.
For me and Serge, just to give you as an example, I was doing the sales and Serge was doing the fulfillment. Now, Serge realized that a lot of these clients that wanted the ad funnel also wanted social media. And he said, I need help on social media, but you are doing the sales. You're a lot more valuable in sales than in social media fulfillment. So let's hire someone to fulfill the social media. So this person we brought on was fulfilling the social media. So as a founder at the beginning, you kind of have to do it all, but then you have to start moving into the higher leveraging activities. So when you are figuring out that, okay, we have something that's working, continue focusing on what brings in the money and start hiring for the tasks that don't need you, right? So that would be like admin, social media, maybe someone who can do email marketing. Once you have scalability capacity, so you can do product, you don't have to wait for China to produce your product and wait 6 weeks just for a new SKU every other month when you need it or whenever you need it. That's when you want to bring in an expert like myself to say, okay, we're either going to use the resources that you have, or we have to bring in a team, or maybe we can bring in some freelancers.
So what I'm hearing is you have to be able to teach the employee how to do the job, not have them invent it completely from scratch.
Yeah. Well, what happens a lot of the times, I feel like companies or business owners, they're rushing into hiring someone because it's exciting, right? Like you're a business owner, you want to be the boss, want to have a team. More often than not, at the beginning, you don't have the money to hire someone who can tell you what needs to be done. So you're going to end up hiring someone that needs a lot of support from you. And then you're just kind of going around in circles because you're not doing the money making activities. You're not focusing on optimizing the marketing operations. You're focusing on managing a team member. So I would rather see owners push a little bit harder at the beginning, have the money, have the capital, and then hire someone that can truly take off work from you. Truly, truly. Like if that's your social media person or your marketing person, have them tell you the strategy, not the other way around, right?
And most of your team is remote, right? Where in the world are they?
Everywhere. My designer is from Ecuador. I have 2 people from the Philippines. One of them is an influencer. She's so cool. The other one's been with me since 2017 and she says she's not leaving. I have someone who's originally from Vancouver, but she lives in Bosnia and Sarajevo. And I have someone from Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed now. He's a newer hire. He is from one of the countries in Africa, but I forgot where he's from Northern Africa somewhere. Tunisia, maybe? I want to say Tunisia. And yeah, we've hired people from, oh, and I have someone from, originally from Poland that lives in Portugal. She's also a digital nomad. And yeah, we've hired people from all over. They're from,
Amazing.
South Africa, from Canada, from South America.
Yes. So with a remote team, I think, and this is where business is going, right? It's where we're evolving to. So how do you build trust between you and the new employee, or maybe they're not even new, but maybe things are changing or the new client is coming on? How do you communicate not only your expectations, but build trust so that you're working well together?
Yeah, it's tough because, you're working with people from across the world, but I also have to remember that most of my clients are remote. I would say 90 something percent of my clients are remote. I have one company in Oakville that I'm working with. And other than that, most of my clients have never met a person. So I need to extend the same courtesy to the people I'm working with. Now, there are ways to minimize the risk that you're taking. So there's platforms like Upwork, for instance, which I use a lot. Actually, our newest hire here, she's from India and she's fantastic fit. And on Upwork, you will see reviews. They've, verified their identity. They have their work history there. There are also different companies that specialize in helping you hire from abroad. So I recently met with a company who only helps you hire from Philippines or from South Africa. So that would be, you can do a lot of these admin things to make sure that you're getting the right candidates. Now, building trust, that's going to happen in the first week or so. I just fired someone because she had lied to me about completing her assignments. And I could tell she has the experience, she can be a good fit, but she flat out lied to my face. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing this. We like to hire slow and fire fast. And I'm very protective of the quality of my team. We have several rounds of interviews. We give them tasks. We pre-interview. So if it's a designer, we ask them to create a video. If it's a, social media manager or marketer, I ask them to create a strategy or some social media posts. And then we have a probation period and we are pretty relentless. So if something, especially in the beginning, is very off-putting, I'll have one conversation with them, right? So the person that I hired after, I think it was 2 weeks, actually, not 1 week. I I told her what my problem was, and I said, "Look, you're not doing your work. Just cause following up with you constantly. Did you do this? Yes. Okay." I'm like, "Can you share the file with me?" Yeah, yeah, I will. I'm like, "No, right now." And she couldn't. And I said, "Okay, so you're lying to me." I said, "Don't ever do that again." I said, "I'm catching you in a lie." She said, "I will not do that again." 2 days later, she did it again. So I fired her. But other than that, then we start our team, not with the full responsibility of any project either, right? So they will work with me. They will work with someone that's been with us for years. Not because I don't necessarily trust them, but because they don't know our operations and our way of operating, right? So they will start by shadowing, being like a marketing assistant, maybe. They will be working with me. I'll do the strategy, but they'll fulfill a few things. Let's not jump into having you manage a $50,000 budget of ads right away, unless you're like a super seasoned ads person that's receiving glowing recommendations from multiple places. So but then we give them the trust from day one, though. Like that, we don't have them in front of Zoom and say, "Okay, so I don't fully trust you yet, so I'm just going to kind of, I'm not going to give you full responsibility." We give them the trust from day one, but we do our due diligence. We cover our bases, and I'm minimizing the risk by doing all of those things that I just mentioned, like, the paperwork, maybe you're not into ad accounts yet. Let me just review your work before you're meeting with a client. You're not meeting with a client yet. And then once we see we're vibing, once we see everything's good, then we just continue working.
So let's go there actually, because I think that is the most interesting and potentially an area with pitfalls is the ongoing management. Like you have multiple projects going on at a time. How do you manage all those projects and then performance and completion and progress with all of these remote employees?
Yeah. Well, everybody has their own responsibilities. So I have a superstar operations person, Jessica, and her job is to make sure that shit happens on our end and our client's end. So she literally follow up with everybody to make sure that everything is aligned. The way we operate is we meet with the clients pretty much every week or every other week. But I meet with the clients when we start working together. I have a very good overhaul conversation, probably once a quarter. And then once a month, we're saying, okay, these are the campaigns for the month. Once I get that, things are assigned to my teams. We'll take one, let's say we'll take one of the upgrade labs. For upgrade labs, what we're doing right now, we're doing a whole funnel. So we're doing the ads, the email marketing, the social media marketing, and depending on the location, we're doing either some print media, influencers, events, and so on. So then I'm looking at the project first, and then what needs to be achieved for that project. And then based on that, Jessica takes it further, and then she hands it out to the team. So let's say this month, we are really wanting to feature cryo because it's super hot here in Ontario, want to feature cryo. So what are we doing? Okay, so ads, we're going to do a super good cryo offer. Email, we're going to do cryo offers in 3 emails. Social media, let's have 5 social media posts on cryo. And maybe we can find one influencer to come in and post about cryo. So then for the ads, then the person who is doing the creatives, so that would be, in my case, Janella. I tell her, okay, Janella, we need some cryo ads. So can you create the design request for the designer? Janella creates a design request. Design request goes to designer. Designer lets me know if they're needing any other resources from the client. Maybe we need more cryo videos, whatever. Designer creates the design and then goes to search, who's our ads guy. Search will run the ads. So because I'm the one that meets with the client, I'm communicating all this information. So we're doing $200 a day, we're running it for 15 days or 30 days. This is the offer, this is the end goal. And then Janella also does the email marketing. Then she knows she has to create 3 campaigns. She's creating the campaigns and she's sending them to me for review. Once I give the green light, campaigns go out. So everybody has, my job is to talk to the client, create a strategy and the deliverables for every project. And then my team, they each have responsibilities. Some of them have blended responsibilities. Right now with AI and so many resources, there's no such thing as like only the email marketer, only this. Like we're all doing a lot, right? So the person who's doing the email marketing and the content, she knows that she's going to have to do that content. And then everything comes to me. And then every Thursday in our Slack channels, everybody is sending a report for every project they're working on. So yeah, so in the case of Upgrade Labs, let's say Oakville, just for an example, the designer will say completed 2 cryo ads, pending review on 1, for instance. And then Janella, who's the creatives person, will say scheduled 5 posts for cryo, waiting on approval from client on 1. And then she would say, I have 3 campaigns. 1 of them is already sent out, 2 of them are scheduled. And then the next week's plan. So we always go with the status, what was completed this week, if you're missing anything, and then the action steps for next week. And then, cool. And then monthly we're doing our numbers reports. So we have one assigned brand manager per brand, and then they'll be responsible for the numbers.
Nice.
Sorry, it was a long answer. Reporting is a lot.
What's a leadership situation with a team member that surprised you, either in a great way or in a tough way?
I'll give you one of each, I guess. In a great way, I will say, so I talked to you about my designer, Efren. He is fantastic. He's not just a designer. He is a marketer. He is every day making an effort to become a better marketer, because if he's a better marketer, then he can read my mind and do what needs to be done before I even ask. So we have a newer client, and they're a very big client, and the CEO is not as involved. So it's kind of like the assistant and my team collaborating together. And we had to overhaul their entire branding because they realized that there was a patent pending on the name. This is like a pre-revenue. Yeah. So their creative agency left. So the creative agency that created the whole branding, the whole website and everything. So we had to pull together a website for an investors meeting, literally in one night. Research and everything. Yes. But we redid the entire branding, just as much as we can do in one night. And the next morning, when Efren sent everything in, like, here's, I didn't have to tell him. I just had to tell him, look, we're doing the whole rebranding. He said, okay, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you banners for the website. I'm going to give you new mockups. I'm going to give you all of this. And then the next morning, the CEO was like, well, I have an investors meeting, so I need a slide deck. And I'm like, oh my God, like I need a slide deck and I don't have a slide deck with the new branding. And my friend's like, oh no, I made a slide deck too because I figured out you need it. So this guy, Efren, he could, and I have done that, he could send me a presentation literally 5 minutes before I have a meeting to present, and I wouldn't have to like review it because I know that it's going to be right. And if there's something that would be not correct in there, it will most likely be my fault. Leadership situation that surprised me in a negative way. I've actually received my fair share of resistance from my client's team. So I've actually received the resistance of, I don't work for her. And my client would be like, but she is the marketing leader and her team delivers the marketing. That's fine. I don't know how to do, I know how to do social media too. I can do our own social media. And
They
it's
feel
like,
threatened, right? Like,
right? This has happened multiple times. And it still surprises me because it's funny because I had very recently a conversation with one of my clients and he said, you're always going to be the enemy. So you just have to figure out how to navigate it. I'm like, then you're right. Like, I'm not going to change the opinion of someone who's been there for 10 years, who's used to doing things a certain way, who's been posting some social media, doing a couple campaigns here and there. I'm not going to change their mind. And now, when someone says, I don't work for her, so I refuse to collaborate with her, I just have to ask my client, like, so what do I need to do? Like, how do I need to handle this? Because this is frankly a waste of time for everybody. I'm not going to be here catty and like get you to like make two people like work together. Do you want me to let go of this one small part of what we do so this person can have her baby?
mm-hmm.
Or do you want me to just kind of like take a step, right? And sometimes I would propose, look, man, maybe I should just meet with your team because the reason why a lot of the times this happens too is because there's not a real endorsement of like, Sandra is going to be meeting with you guys. You go to Sandra for marketing approval. You no longer come to me. So I have to remind my clients, like, can you do me a favor and properly endorse me? What I can do is I can meet with you on the executive team and then I can meet with your team because a lot of the times there's conversations in these bigger marketing meetings where not everybody has a say. And I feel like maybe they feel like they're not supported, right? But if I'm meeting with a different department, if I'm meeting with a different locations, if I'm meeting with the different agencies, then I can show them that we're here to work together and support. I don't want your job. I travel. I lived in 50 Airbnbs in 3 years. There's no employer that would want me to be in there in person. Zero employers. Like even the ones that give you unlimited vacations because I don't operate that way, right? So I'm not a Greg, but I guess I am.
But I think you're mentioning something that's really a lesson for any leader who's implementing big changes, right? To really make sure there's endorsement from the top if you as the leader aren't the top.
Yeah.
And then really looping in all of the different teams and helping them understand the why.
Yeah. Exactly. I find that too with my team as well. When I was younger, I was a lot more rushed and a lot more like, we got to do this, we got to do that. But I find that every time we have a meeting, like a bigger meeting with a team, and I explain how everything fits and why I'm asking you guys to do this, there's situations where I'm telling them, look, this is a very new client. This client has relations in other, industries. Why I'm asking you to push for this client, why I'm asking you to maybe stay a little bit later this week and then just take off sometime next week is because this client can endorse us, right? And then they'll understand it. But if I don't explain that to them, I'm just saying, well, I really need you to finish that today, even if that's 10 p.m., they're going to be resentful. And I've had people be resentful and I've learned my lesson. But now I explain to them, right? And I know there's all these gurus and whatever they're saying, like, you don't owe anyone an explanation, like this whole like protect your aura and all of that. I don't agree with everything that I'm hearing on social media right now because I do believe that I owe people an explanation, especially the people that are working with me because they're helping me build my dreams. So hell yeah, they are owed an explanation of why something is demanded or required of them. But yeah, communication is key, right? Communication in anything is key.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit less of an ego from all parts, mine included.
Absolutely. So when you have transitioned from doing things yourself to then now passing it to someone else, what personal changes have you had to make to help that succeed?
A lot of mindset personal changes. I'm very short fused, as my husband would tell you. A lot of times I would be frustrated because, like, "Oh, I've taught them this. We have the process, we have the SOP. Why is that happening?" Serge would come to me and say, "They're learning, they're growing, they're trying. Like, cut them some slack." And I, had to remind myself, like, I have a team of people that are looking up to me, and part of it is they don't want to mess up, and that's why they're maybe overthinking sometimes. Maybe they're not that confident in making that decision sometimes. So one of the biggest changes I had to make personally was just to reframe my thinking around the people that are working with me, because they're not going to think exactly like me, and that's okay. We should embrace that. They're here to learn. Like, I'm not hiring stupid people, I'm hiring smart people. So if they don't know something, it's on me. If they don't know how to execute something, it's because I didn't teach them, or I didn't give them the resources, or I didn't tell them that it's important enough for them to go out and learn that. I would say those two things. The other thing would be really backing them up in front of the world. So we can fight in private, but we'll be friends in public. So, one of my clients like, "Oh, you guys messed up." Like, and I have that. Like, I've had people that told me from my team and their team, "You effed up." And it's one of those things where I will take the hit. I will back up my team member. If there's like a huge mess up, I'm not going to back it up as in I'm brushing it off. Like, "Oh no, like, this person's great." I'll be like, "Okay, I'm going to deal with it. I have a solution for you." And then we can have a conversation in private. But I find that if you're putting your team on a spot, or if you're, accusing them of something in public, you're not going to get that trust anymore. They're not going to be as open and candid and transparent anymore. They're going to be afraid. So I have to kind of drop the stress levels a little bit, and stay cool, calm, and composed, even though underneath the surface we're dying. I always have this joke, like, when I'm having a stressful week, I'm telling Jessica, I was the person I talk to the most at work. I'm like, "We need to bring smoking back, man. Like, with this situation, bring smoking back." Well, like, there's no reason for the entire team to know that, right? Like, there's no reason. Like, I filter out so much stuff. By the time it goes to my team, it's not even funny. Like, I think
Yeah.
nowadays I'm mostly paid to either deal with the people that my clients pay, or deal with the people that pay my clients, and then just kind of like juggle and make everyone happy.
I think that's funny. That's like almost, people take meditation breaks, or they go for walks or whatever. The old school smoke break was a great way of stepping away from your computer and stepping away from a situation when you know you're a little too steamed up.
Yep. Actually, once I had a potential. No, he became a client. I had a client that came on camera, him and his partner, and they were just full out smoking. I'm like, "Boy, I haven't seen this in a while." Literally, the dude just like, "Oh yeah, hey," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." He was from Saudi Arabia. So it's
Okay.
still, there's a lot of cultures where smoking is very normal in a professional setting. Like, I'm from Romania, and I mentioned one of my team members lives in Bosnia. In Bosnia, I can still smoke inside in restaurants. In Romania, no, but like, it would not shock a Romanian to go on a call like this and then just like light up a cigarette at this point. It's just culture, right?
Yeah, that's funny. So that might relate to if you could give your younger self a piece of advice when entering into leadership, what would it be?
Hmm. If I could give my younger self a piece of advice when entering leadership, I would say do it sooner, delegate sooner, build a team sooner. I used to be I'm going to do myself person. And that was, in my mind, it's because I knew better, and other people don't know as well as me. I don't have time to train this person. In reality, I don't know better, and I can enable someone else to also know better. And as a leader, my job is to make decisions. I'm managing budgets of like $100,000 a month. I am deciding pricing. I'm deciding so much when it comes to marketing. And every time I am taking focus and attention away from that to worry about a social media post or an email marketing campaign, or how customers are redeeming their rewards. It's not a time thing. It's a focus and attention thing, right? I was listening to a podcast recently and they were saying that people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they were asked, what is the biggest contributor to your success? And they say focus. I believe them. I don't care how much people like or don't like these people, but when billionaires are saying focus is important, focus is important. It's not just the time. I used to have a client a while back and she was very demanding. Like my team was so stressed working with her and we had to drop that client. But she said, well, I want you to start posting natively on Instagram on weekends. And I said, well, we can't do that. What I can do is I can schedule the scheduling tools, but you're not going to have those buttons and tags or whatever. I said, no, I want you to do it natively. And I said, I'll talk to my team. If they're willing to do it for an extra fee, I'm honestly just gonna like pay them directly that money. Like, no, I don't get it. Just like prepare them posts is like 10 minutes. Like, no, my team has the weekend off. It's not 10 minutes. It's shit. I'm at the beach. I forgot to do this. I got to go on my phone. I don't have signal. I got to go to a cafe, blah, blah, blah. I have to do this, right? And this is stressing them out. They're not de-stressing. Now, if one of my team members wants for some extra money to do something, that's on them. It's not the time, right? Like we always used to think time is the most valuable asset. Yes and no. I can buy time. I can hire another marketer. I can hire someone to do part of my job and I can earn 10, 20, 40 hours a week and then do it over and over again. I can buy time. I can't buy attention. That's the only thing I can't buy. That's why people like Mark Zuckerberg wear the same thing every day because his attention goes into making decisions and not what t-shirt he wears.
Yeah.
Less I learned along the way, but I would start earlier. I would start sooner. I would start delegating and enabling teams of smart people to do work sooner because there's so many smart people out there. They just need an opportunity and guidance.
Cool. Well, let's close with what are you most excited about for the rest of 2025 and maybe into 2026?
I have a few clients that are expanding like crazy. So this is a very new skill set that I'm developing personally too, because I'm used to e-commerce and, you know, we're adding more products, we're adding more SKUs, but I'm not used to franchises as much as I am used to e-com and I'm not used to multiple locations. So I'm learning right now how to manage franchises and multiple locations. So we have several coming in. And other than that, I have a few trips booked up. So I'm trying to get, I don't have it here, my scratchy map. I booked Honduras for my husband's birthday in October. I'm going to Serbia and Romania in September and going to Bahamas in November. So just a little bit of a sunshine here and there. Yeah, other than that, I mean, last time I spoke to you, I just had my eye surgery. So I finally started reading again after 2 months. So I'm excited to read again. That's a pretty big one for me because reading is just part of my life. And it was just like so hard.
Yeah. Wow. That's so great.
Exciting.
Well, Sandra, thank you so much for sharing your story. And for our listeners, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
We're glad you joined us for Suits and Sneakers. If you want to be an expert guest, look for the link in the show notes. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified of future episodes.